The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.
Welcome to How to Money with Kole and Kole.
I'm Kole.
And I'm Kole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation on investing, retirement, and everything in between.
At Full Swing Financial Planning, we're here to empower you to take control of your plan, your way, for your financial future.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Kole and Kole. I'm your host, Baileigh, and we are 5 days away from Christmas when this airs. Is that not crazy, guys?
That is wild.
It's coming up quick.
I feel like this year has flown by.
You were just telling a story about the stocking stuffers being exposed at your house. So
if you have kids around, close their ears.
Yeah.
My husband left out Santa's presents already, and
do you guys have an elf in your house?
I tell my kids,
oh my God.
I don't do it.
We axed the elf a couple of years ago. It's just too much work for us parents that are tired at night.
It's just too stressful. It's already busy enough. You have dress days. You have
Then you forget it. If you forget,
Yeah.
or you're like rushing in the morning, see all the reels about the elf
Oh, do
stuff
they?
going. Oh, there's so many. It's funny.
days always really want. When I'm like, buddy, the elves only go to houses where the kids are a little more naughty, and you're so good that you don't need an elf to keep you in line. I'm like, crushed that.
After about the 8th night of me and Molly laying in bed, and then all of a sudden we'll go, oh,
Fighting.
the elf.
You go do it.
I did it last night.
Chelsea's
You
like
do
super
it.
creative, and I just like flap
Shocking.
him on the tree, when it's my night. It's like,
Tape him.
it's basic, and she does something like extravagant,
I will say, with the power of the internet, they have so many ideas. If you're
cool.
organized, you can get real organized and just have it ready.
Our kids are both super into it, so it's like, hard. And I feel like we're counting down the years when, pretty soon Kale won't, believe in Santa anymore. It's
Dun,
like sad,
dun, dun.
sad thing. So it's like, I was asking you guys this. So when do kids stop believing in Santa? And it's kind of a hard thing as a parent. You're like, there's a little tear jerker.
You're probably split, right?
Yeah.
Right now, yeah. So our 14-year-old obviously is well aware.
Or is he?
I hope.
Yeah, 10-year-old and 2 8-year-olds still have the Santa fever, but it's to me it was a little bit I don't know the exact word for it, alleviating, like, okay, he knows, okay,
Yeah, we don't have to hide it. Tiptoe, like, oh shoot, what did I
because
say?
the older they get, the harder it is to hide it from them.
It's already hard. Like, clearly, we couldn't even hide the Santa gifts.
Yeah.
Well, I could, but I didn't even know they had arrived. Anyway, so it's a great time. It's busy. It's fun. It's a lot going on as parents, but it's also just magical. And, my kids, they love that magic. Do you guys remember your favorite gift when you were little?
I do, and it always sticks out of my mind because I've been asked that question before, but so I must have been 10 years old. It was 1989.
I was born that year.
Yeah. You guys weren't born, and you guys won't remember this, but Upper Deck had come out with baseball cards, and they were like $1 a pack. It was like $50 for a box of cards, and they were so expensive that I maybe bought 1 or 2 packs before that, but I got a whole box. Like whatever, 50 packs. Mm-hmm. And I remember opening that, and Ken Griffey Jr.'s rookie card was in there. Randy Johnson, again, probably names that you don't know, but
I know both those names.
It was a big, it was the
You're
initial
still
year.
excited about it.
I still get excited about
Baseball card's still a thing. Like,
Well, there's a card store downtown.
Yeah,
I know collectibles wise they're still, but I don't know. I didn't know if kids are really into it at all.
My 10-year-old son David is a little bit into it. It's definitely evolved now. Instead of just getting like the set of cards, there's like these special cards, and there's autograph cards, and they're different colors,
different things,
and some of them are gold, some of them are silver, and they make the real expensive cards like real rare. Like there'll be a LeBron James that's like 1 of 6 in America, or whatever.
1 of 6 of Caitlin Clark.
They have some Caitlin Clark ones that are pretty expensive.
Sure
yeah.
do. Cole J?
Yeah, so I don't have like a specific toy, but I remember my brothers and I, when I was probably I think I was 2nd or 3rd grade, so somewhere in that range, we were really big into farm toys. So like the 1/64 size farm, we were all farm kids. So we had this Christmas, we got like all the best of the best of like all the little farm toys we wanted, a bunch of farm sets, machine sheds, cattle. So our thing was like, we got all the farm toys and then we'd set up our own farms. We had an attic in the house that we grew up in, and the whole
classic.
attic was just our farm sets. So Cody, my older brother, had his farm, my younger brother had his farm, and I had my farm. So I remember that. And that was like a big haul year. You know, I don't remember anything specific in there. I'm sure it's all in the trash now.
You just loved it.
Yeah.
I just remember of collectibles. Some of that stuff is worth a lot of money.
Yeah. I know.
Those old John Deere tractors and that
It's so
stuff.
weird what grows to be worth something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Baileigh?
I don't know. I don't really have one. I do remember when what was the
iPods.
The
iPod came out. That was a big deal. I really wanted one.
Where you
The
could
iPod
download
Touch.
music,
The iPod
yeah.
Touch was a huge deal.
I just remember that, but my dad got me the knockoff MP3.
Oh, like the one that just like the little spinning thing. Yeah. It was so hard. Remember how hard it was to get music on stuff back in the day? Like now it's like
You had to burn it.
You hit something and it's like boom, it's
Remember
there.
when you used to download music on your computer and get yelled at because you'd fry it?
Yeah, you'd ruin your computer.
Anyways,
Oh,
I just like
memories.
being with family. We're very competitive. We do games. Someone's
we're
going to fight over a game.
similar.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just a good time.
Great time of year.
Well, we are presenting this at our client event because we feel like it's a very, very valuable presentation regarding retirement. So we're also going to do it for the podcast, so listeners and clients that couldn't make the event could also get a dabble into this presentation. You guys ready to do it?
Yeah, so the presentation is 7 things no one tells you about retirement. So it does get a little dark at times. I want to just
Disclosure.
let
Disclosure.
our readers know that. But I mean, there are some things that you need to know that happens to some people in retirement, and we're trying to prepare not only our clients but our listeners and just people in general that it's not all like you retire and the rest of your life is just
works out.
Rainbows and puppies. I mean, it does have some ups and downs, just like life does.
We bring up behavioral finance quite a bit on this podcast, and I think this is really in the psychology, behavioral side, not so much the dollars and cents side or the monetary side. It's more of like, the feeling side of retirement and happiness and enjoyment.
Cole loves talking about feelings.
Yeah.
But we do
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Our goal is always, obviously, we want you to outlive your money. We want you to be financially stable, but we also really want you to live a fulfilled, well-rounded retirement. So it's going to get dark, like Cole said. By the end of this presentation, hopefully we'll spark something that will give you a more positive retirement. So here we go. Emotions run high in retirement. 40% of Americans fear retirement more than death. Why do you think that is?
Because it's something they've never done. I
unknown.
Yeah. So everyone tries to plan. Well, not everyone, but most people try to plan for retirement. Try to, do all these different steps to get towards retirement. But then when you actually get there, it's like, oh crap! Now I don't have to get up in the morning and go to work. So now what do I get up in the morning and do?
Yeah.
What does my day look like? How am I going to go about spending all my retirement savings? Like how much at a time? So
there's uncertainty,
Yep.
right?
And
It's
then
uncertainty. You don't know exactly
It's a
how
new
it's going to work.
phase.
Yep.
And then 87% of Americans worry about the lack of income in retirement, which we hear that a lot. That's a number one thing we work with. But obviously, we're always laser focused on the dollars and cents part in retirement, but we also want you to be prepared for the next phases. So Cole, tell us why it's equally important and start just maybe with our agenda and the history of the retirement.
Yeah, so we're going to go through like 7 basic things that no one tells you about retirement. We're going to go through the history. We got a top 10 list that we're going to talk about. Unspoken side of retirement, like some miscalculations. I'm not going to go through all of these right now, but we'll go through all 7 things that basically no one tells you about retirement. And one thing that I like to start off with is like, why is this so important? Like, why do we want to prepare you for retirement? Well, a third of your life, if you live to be age 90, which most people are these days, I know life expectancy is getting up there, but is spent in retirement. So you've got a lot of time in retirement. People that are 65 have to basically prepare for the next 30 years of what they're going to do. And kind of what we talked about earlier, retirement doesn't eliminate work. It just reorients what you're going to do with your day in quote unquote work. And if I had a nickel for every time someone said, I don't know how I ever worked. I'm busier now that I'm retired. I mean, for sure you hear that too. Like when people retire, they're like, I don't know how I ever worked. I got more going on now than I did when I was actually working. And that's usually a good thing because that keeps your mind busy. The people that I think struggle with it is that they don't have a whole lot going on in retirement.
The unstructure. I think they just kind of barrel into retirement with not a lot of planning going into it. And I know we were going to refer a little bit, the first slide, and Kole, I know you were going to elaborate more on this, but retirement history. And I think it's the actual looking back, right? The thought or idea of retirement was like 130, it was created like 130 years ago.
Long time.
So
longevity is definitely a big play in that now.
Yeah. So in 1899, some guy named Otto, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last year in Germany, created basically the first Social Security system. And he set the retirement age at age 70, which obviously people didn't live that age. So most people died before it was even relevant. Fast forward to 1935 when the United States did Social Security. The earliest you could take Social Security, which still stands today, which is obviously weird, but and out of date since we started almost 100 years ago, is 62. But the life expectancy back then was 61.7. So again, most people died before they could actually collect Social Security. So this is a very out of date system that we have. And I don't know how to fix it. I'm not going to play politics here, but it's going to have to be addressed at some point.
Getting back to it though, a supplement was never meant to, or Social Security was never meant to be your primary source of retirement income, right? And that's why, when you look back at the retirement history, why certain things were created, 401ks, IRAs, different things is like,
because those are your main vehicles.
Yes, those should be your main sources of, or your assets that you either invest in, save in, outside of that Social Security system. Obviously, it's nice to have Social Security, and we have issues with it because of longevity, different things there.
But there are a lot of good reasons you should not depend on Social Security. Yes,
exactly.
Yep. So fast forward again, 1974, IRAs were developed, and IRAs were designed at that time for only people that didn't have a pension. So in 1974, a lot of pension plans out there. I think 146,000 pension plans, 83% of employees were covered by pensions. So this IRA was developed for people that didn't have pensions available, so they could invest money and get a tax break. So it wasn't, and obviously it's evolved a lot since then, but it wasn't designed for your primary retirement savings plan for most individuals. So at that time, and I think you guys have both seen this, but do you know what the contribution limit for a regular IRA was in 1974?
You said it was like 1,000 or something.
It was $1,500.
I only know that because you said it.
Yep.
It's $1,500 then, and now it's only $8,000. I mean, for someone that's older, over the age of 55 or 50, it's $8,000. So it's gone up, but it hasn't gone up that much when you think about it.
It hasn't been around as long as you would think either.
Right. In 1935, what do you think a $8,000 car? Well, cars aren't $8,000, but an $8,000 used car wouldn't be $1,500. Then it would have been like probably $50. So
I find it odd that it's not more than 8,000 now. It just
especially
seems
because not everyone has 401k.
Well, and how much pressure is on the social systems too. You think we would want to.
I was shocked they didn't increase it again.
Yes, really make people want to take advantage of it by increasing the dollar amount they can save pre-tax, which obviously we have, a lot of issues that we need the tax revenue as well. So.
We're gonna get through this. It's gonna get better. Keep going.
Yeah. I'm gonna finish up the history a little bit just for people. So in 1978, 401ks were added to the IRS code, which allowed companies to do 401k plans. Went pretty unnoticed for 4 years. In 1982, Johnson & Johnson, PepsiCo, JCPenney were the first companies to offer that. Obviously, 401ks now are mainstream, and but if you think now, 401ks. 1982, that's only 40 years ago.
That's what I'm saying. It's not
so 401ks have only been around for 40 years. Now it's the primary source for people to save for their retirement is their 401k. So I'm just thinking about my father, who was born in 1950. 401ks didn't even come out until he was 32 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 32, so he was your guys' age when 401ks came out. So it's even a newer concept for those people that are either getting to retirement, or maybe have retired for a while. My dad's been retired for almost 10 years, but it's still not something that people grew up with. And
It's
then
still evolving.
It's still evolving. You're right. Right. So last piece of history here, 1997 is when Roth IRAs were discovered.
My favorite.
Created.
Yeah, we knew what you meant.
Yeah.
Someone discovered the idea.
So my junior year of high school, Roth IRAs.
You're dating yourself on.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, like these concepts are even pretty new.
Well, and you got to think in the Roth and 401k wasn't until 2006. So that's like, think about that.
And there's still,
we're lucky we're on the Roth generation.
I just logged into someone's 401k yesterday, and it's at a pretty major company here in Fort Dodge. I won't tell the company name, but they did not have Roth available in their 401k, and I'm just like, wow, I thought that was like a
universal
10 years
thing.
ago
Yeah, a universal
thing. Like I
thing
thought
now.
everyone had Roth available in your 401k, but it's not a thing. So yeah, that's the history, and I think we think of all those things because we're in the business and we've been doing them forever, but they are pretty new. And you might still meet clients that are like, oh, you can do Roth on your 401k.
Or they don't know what a Roth is.
That's probably why they don't know. It's never been available to.
Yeah. And so the evolution from everyone having a pension plan to 401ks being introduced to now Roth, it's really evolved over the years, and people have had to save differently for retirement and also plan differently for retirement. You think of the people that retired in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they basically retired, they got Social Security, they took their pension. They maybe had some mutual funds or something like that saved up, but they didn't have IRAs, they didn't have 401ks. So it has evolved over the years, and pension plans are obviously something that is almost a thing of the past, but there are still some that are offered, just not as many.
Number two is the wrong top 10 list. So what is this, Kole?
Yeah. So the wrong top 10 list is, what are the 10 most stressful life events that you can go through? Number one being death of a spouse, which obviously that would be obviously terrible, most stressful. And then I'm not going to read all these, but going down here, a couple of these, divorce is number 2, marital separation is number 3, jail term, that would be a little bit of a stressful situation. I wonder if that's for you or your spouse, or it doesn't really matter.
And for our listeners, Cole's referring to there's a chart here that this came from a study, basically a study of 5,000 people, and it was what the
found
most
the 43 life events that contributed to them becoming physically ill, like the most stressful things that could have happened.
And these are the top 10.
Yeah.
We're focused on the top 10, and retirement's obviously in there, and that's where we're like, that shouldn't be. We don't want them to be. Yeah, marriage. I know.
Marriage is stressful.
Yeah. But
it's hard work.
Yeah.
All these are hard.
But I
work.
think this is the actual marriage date. But yeah, so.
But retirement's on there.
But you go. So death of the spouse, obviously number 1. You go down. There's fired at work. Is number 8. But right behind it, not too far. So retirement. So a lot of people are as stressed out about as retiring as if they were to get fired at work. And that speaks volumes to us. Like, okay, this situation that we deal with it most days, months, weeks. We have someone that's retiring, and we deal with it all the time. But the people that we're talking to or helping only have to deal with it once. They only retire once, where we see people retire all the time.
And I think people would be surprised to see retirement on this list as a stressor, because most people, that's the goal. You worked so hard, you get to retire.
You think it's more of a relief, like, oh, I got there.
But I think it is news to people, because I do think the older generation did not talk about it. Like, hey, this is actually really stressful. Like, things change. You're not sure what's going to happen, who you are, what you're doing. So that's why just being aware that it's a stressful event is the goal, to help you be ready for that, prepare for that.
Well, there's things that happen in retirement that make it a little bit stressful too. Most people that are married, their spouses also maybe retire, and that can be a stressful time too. A lot of times your parents pass away when you're retired, and a lot of changes. Children leave home. Children get married. Children have kids. So there are a lot of things that while you're in retirement, there's things that change, and that's going to cause a little bit of stress with your retirement. Things that are out of your control most of the time.
there's a list we're also looking at. So change in health of a family member, change in living conditions, change in even eating habits. So it's a little shocking to learn that 20 of the 43 items, we're not going to name all, can take place near or in retirement. So most of these do happen in retirement. You've accumulated, think you're sitting there pretty and like, boom, child leaves home, boom. Change in residence, boom, change in social activities. There's just a lot of changes in retirement that people don't, I think, are necessarily aware of or aren't prepared for.
So hopefully we're not having people on this podcast rethink your decision of retiring, because we do still want to promote saving for retirement and making that a goal, but we just want to make sure that you're prepared that there are things that just because you retire doesn't mean that everything's going to be great the rest of your life. It does have some things that come about. All right, so we're going to transition to number 3, the unspoken side of retirement. We got one more basically depressing thing to go over, and then we're going to go to
get to the happier side.
The happier side, yeah. But there are some things that people deal with in retirement that you wouldn't think they would. You think when you get to retirement, you're happy, but unfortunately, people do become depressed. Isolation is a big factor. 43% of people go days without talking to people in retirement. And then addiction is one thing, because every day seems like a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, right? You don't have to go to work the next day. So
less structure.
Less structure. A lot of people, unfortunately, deal with addiction in retirement because you feel relaxed kind of all the time, and you feel like you're off of work all the time because you're retired. But that's things that you just have to be aware of, if you know somebody in retirement, or if a spouse in retirement seems like they're maybe depressed, that is something that happens.
It's normal.
It's normal. There's steps obviously you can go, and we obviously promote counseling and therapy for that type of situation. But if you have someone that has retired and they're not seem to be happy, they're not alone. That does happen to people.
And I think it's important, why we're even talking about this is more so people are aware. And as we get to the back portion of this podcast, we're going to talk about some things to think about that maybe in pre-retirement you need to be proactively kind of, getting your mind right.
It's up to you.
What is it going to look like? So that's why we're not trying to be, super depressing on this, but it's the facts of
I would just say it's
happens.
a side people don't talk about. Yeah. And if you don't talk about it, you can't eliminate it, avoid it, manage it, shorten it. And it is tough, but we want you to be just like we want to be in control of your financial plan. It's your plan. We also want you to find the value in your retirement, and you're in control of it. So it's up to you and your spouse to fill it with things that matter and you find value. So that's what we're going to do is let's talk about things that find value in retirement and how we can get there.
So one thing that we talk about, I know we're talking about the seven things that no one tells you about retirement, but really when we think of the retirement as a topic or what that looks like, we kind of break it up into 4 phases of retirement. So first phase is that fuzzy happy phase of vacation, like, I made it. I don't have to go to work today. I get to do whatever I want. That generally lasts about a year, right? And then you transition into the next phase, which is that feeling lost phase, or you're like, what am I doing? Did I make the right decision? Yeah. And that can be shorter or longer, just kind of depending on, a lot of different factors. But then we move to really the third phase, which is the trial and error phase. You're like, okay, now I'm lost. Let's try to find some purpose, or try to find some things. So you're maybe trying different hobbies, or like Kole said, unfortunately, it can be the bad things of like all of a sudden you're maybe in the bar too much, or different things there. You're kind of going through that trial and error phase. And then the last phase is really the one we want to get you to, is that reinvention phase. That's where you've kind of found your core happiness in retirement. And really us as advisors, and when we're thinking about this, or you as someone that's maybe potentially looking at retiring or thinking about retiring, is how can we shorten those middle 2 phases, right? That's the most important thing, or either extend that vacation phase or get to the reinvention phase, quicker.
People get to that reinvention phase it is fun to see them in that stage because it's like they figured it out.
They're flowing.
Right?
Yeah, and they get to that, and they get a routine, and if they're married, them and their spouse, find when they're going to communicate, when they're going to go on vacations, things like that, because it does take a little while to get there. And I think a lot of people, when they retire, think that automatically it's going to shift right to that to that stage where they're going to have it all figured out, but you're not.
And that kind of moves us perfectly into number 4. And this is the major transition miscalculation. And really what this is, in my eyes, is people are so focused on what they're going to gain when they retire. They're going to gain freedom. They don't have to do this. They don't have to do this. I get to do whatever I want. Time, right? But really, people do need to consider what they're going to lose, because it's important to we're creatures of habits, right? And we're kind of defined by what we do,
routine social
things.
Connection,
and that's very important to have, still in retirement. It's just different, right? That looks different. That routine looks different. The identity looks different, and that's one of the things that really people are so front end focused on. Okay, what am I going to gain? But really need to.
You're going to focus on what am I going to lose. So you can also backfill what you're going to lose.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarketwith2ks.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarketwith2ks.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarketwith2ks.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarketwith2ks.com.
Let's do a little dollars and cents.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Well, guys, it's that time of the year. It's time to spend. Get out your wallets. Christmas presents are here.
I've been spending.
America. Well, there is like a study. I wish I would have brought that up. Once you start spending, it's like, boom, it's easier. Just keep.
Don't believe me. It actually, I haven't been spending. It's Molly's been spending.
The buy now button is scary.
Yeah.
Online.
Click.
On Amazon. Psh, buy now. It's gone to your house.
What do you guys think Americans spend on Christmas each year?
Is this like a total cumulative number?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So billions?
No, sorry, individually. So what do you and your family spend on Christmas here?
Oof, I don't know.
Americans spend around $1,000 on Christmas each year, with 71% of that going towards gifts.
1,000? That's what it was?
Yeah, I thought it would be a little
That
higher.
was the number I was thinking, but I'm like, I have a huge family, so by the time we start spending and buying for parents and grandparents and other nephews and nieces, it's way more than that.
That seems low to me.
I know, but you got to remember we're taking the entire population.
Yeah, but I mean, like our whole family, me and Molly, of all the gifts that we buy for everybody, 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
it's an average. Yeah,
it's an average. There's probably people that are on 10,000 on the average. People are like 200 on the average.
Say you're not married and or you're just have a girlfriend.
But in 2024, holiday retail sales are expected to increase to a record $989 billion. That's a lot.
You're seeing Amazon kind of get back to high levels again. I think there's some positive numbers coming out on Amazon, so that's probably a direct correlation of that statistic there.
These are off the Google, just so you know. Statistics
off the Googler.
Here's another one: men spend 10% more than women on holiday purchases.
Right, because we have to try to keep the women happy.
No. You just be nice and they're happy. Duh.
I can tell you this: that I was at Jordan Creek Mall in West Des Moines, Iowa, on Black Friday. And there is no lack of people going out shopping because it was wall to wall, shoulder to shoulder. I couldn't believe how many people were there.
I think that's more, in my opinion, why that is.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Men are more impulsive on their decisions of giving gifts.
I was going to say last minute.
And less planned, right?
I was going to say last minute.
So like, a lot of people are like Black Friday or Cyber Monday doing stuff, planning for 25 days from now versus, I haven't got anything yet. Now, I don't do a
You'll
lot of the
wait.
shopping. I do a lot of shopping, but vacations are, Chelsea and I kind of agreed on vacations are kind of each other's presents. So
Let's do one more.
what do you got for us?
41% of Americans are willing to take on debt for Christmas shopping. What would you guys tell your clients?
Yeah, don't do that.
28% of credit card users are still paying off last year's.
Ooh.
That's the problem. I was
These
just
are
going to say
tough.
that because
I know.
you can take on that debt, but you got to have a plan to pay it off within a couple of months. Otherwise, that interest just eats into you.
I'll say this. I would never take on debt for Christmas ever.
It's not worth it.
No, because I would just go up to the person I love and just be super honest. Like, I am not in a financial situation this year. I don't want to put myself in a bad situation. I love you. I respect you, but I can't get you a gift this year. That'd be my advice.
So, Baileigh,
'cause
there's
it's just
something I got to
things.
tell you.
It's okay to live within your means, right?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Gift this year.
Yeah.
Well, just to kind of wrap up number 4 on the list, and we really do, want our clients to really thrive in retirement. And a good exercise, for someone to do, or thinking, transitioning from that work life to retirement life, is to really, for example, think of like what brings you positive emotion at work, and then transition that to retirement. What, if you're not there, obviously, if you're in retirement, you can do this as well, and you would probably already know. So what examples that would be?
At work, completing a project.
Yep, completing a project. In retirement, it could be going on a bucket list vacation.
Yeah.
Another one could be engagement. What keeps you engaged at work? Being a leader, leading a team,
Being awesome.
being awesome. Maybe at home or in retirement could be baking or picking up a new hobby. Maybe it's golfing. Being a competitive golfer. Pickleball.
I could be better at baking.
Oh, just things to get your mind. You're really just thinking of like, okay,
What am I replacing
Yes.
so I can keep thriving in retirement?
'Cause it doesn't
I'm
stop.
thriving now with my positive emotion, my relationships, I'm achieving. And that's all it is, what it is. It's a lot based on work. Like, think about how much time you spend at work, who you're around, like the emotions that come from work. Now that's all gone. So how are we replacing that in work? In retirement, excuse me. How are we having these positive emotions? What are we achieving? What's keeping us going in retirement?
and it's the concept of people thinking it's a final destination, right? Really, it's a transition. It's not really a destination. You're just transitioning to a new phase, and that's.
And I think people, when you do this exercise, you'll learn the value of work. Like, you're rewiring what work means. Like, I think a lot of people think work, I gotta go to work. But let's rewire what work means. It means it's providing me some value in my life. Like, work can be a multitude of things.
Your body and mind still needs all those things that
Yeah.
Cole's talking about.
You need the mental
Your body-
stimulation.
even in retirement, you're not just going to sit on the beach all day. That's just not what you're going to do. I can tell you that you might do that for a week at a time, but you're not going to do it.
You're not going to be thriving in retirement.
Yeah.
You know.
So you've got to find these things that replace those things that happen at work now.
So let's go to number 5, where cliche advice goes wrong. And this is really retire with something instead of retiring to something. So, and this really comes back to, we make our habits, then our habits make us, right?
Love that.
So, and really what this gets to is like, we should be doing some of the things now, right? We don't need to wait for retirement to start playing golf, right? Or to start playing pickleball or being competitive. It's really like, hey, there's nothing wrong with getting good at something now and extending that into, into your retirement phase. And it's really an extension of what you're doing, to where it's like, oh, I'm going to start doing that when I retire. Why can't you start now?
Because retirement's just going to magnify who you are. You know what I mean? It's just, that's one of the cliches. It's going to, who you are right now is who you're taking into retirement. You don't just get to retirement and all of a sudden you're like this new human being completely that you want to be.
Like, I'm going to be a better person in retirement.
Yeah. Well, and you hear this a lot. I'm going to spend more time with family. I'm going to read more. I'm going to pick up I'm going to be more active. Let's start doing these things now, and not all at once. You can't just start doing all these things, but let's focus on one. Okay, I'm going to start reading more now. Next couple months, I'm going to start spending more time with the family now. So when you get to retirement, those habits are there.
To go deeper on this, a retirement magnified, and think of the habits, right? So we've all heard about professional athletes, lottery winners, different scenarios where just because all of a sudden you come into money or you have a lot of money doesn't mean it's going to last forever. Old habits, a lot of times, or habits, they drag on. It doesn't just change you because all of a sudden you flip the switch on. And this is interesting. We're getting some of this information. They talk about inmates or people that escape from prison. And it says, consider the fact that 60% of inmates who attempt to escape from prison are caught within the first 24 hours. So they escape from prison, caught within the first 24 hours. 85% are caught within the first week. And really the main reason for that is, think about it, is like they're so focused on getting out of prison, they don't know what they're going to do when they get out of prison.
Same with retirement.
Yes, it's the same exact
We're
concept.
so focused to retire, but what are we going to do when we get there?
What are we going to actually do in retirement?
Who are we going to be?
Yeah, just like what are you going to do when you get outside of the prison walls to make sure that you don't get caught again? But
I thought that was interesting.
That is
kind of wild. The thing. It's a good analogy though to go.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to number 6. The broken record of longevity. I thought this is quite interesting because we were talking about this and again we're doing this at our client event, so we were preparing for this a little bit and I asked Kole, I'm like, what do you consider old?
Yeah, and I said that I thought it was early 70s was what I considered old age. Like when you're starting to get to old age, people really start slowing down in the early 70s and. Unfortunately, their minds start working a little bit differently. But I think it's really crazy how what age bracket you're in really tells when you think people are older.
It's a relative term, right? Right? Old to someone who's 75, or you ask your dad or our parents, they're going to say, some of them might jokingly say, well, I'm old, but most people, that are in a positive, good mindset, it really just depends on who you ask.
And as you get older, you realize you don't feel that old. So it says of those 75 and older, only 35% actually said they feel old. So this is the 75 and older surveyed, and only 35% actually said they feel old. So as you get older, you're like, no, I'm not old yet. I got time. So with that thinking, okay, I don't really feel old yet. It is taking longer to feel old in this world. We talked about in the beginning, retirement plans were not built for this longevity. The medical world, we talk about longevity is a huge thing. And unfortunately, we have been conditioned to just think these magical numbers are when we're old. But a lot of people still have more than half of like their good life left. So Kole, why is it taking longer for people to feel old?
Yeah, and you think this is kind of a stereotype, right? Of you hit 62, 65, 70. Hey, I'm supposed to pull the trigger at this age. And really what this is really saying an indirect way of like, it's okay if you want to work later in life or have a second job or second career. It's
assume somebody is just working because they have to. They actually maybe want to be
There's
working.
this social pressure of like, oh, you're working in your 70s, like do they hate their family or they didn't save enough for retirement? No, it's maybe that's just their purpose and they're still really, really happy. That's okay.
And you got to remember when we were covering the history of retirement, life expectancy already has roughly grown 30% over 18 years. So we got to plan for like, what are we truly going to do with this extra time we have? Because most of us are going to live longer than we probably originally thought. And I can't, I'm not dating you, but I can't imagine when we're 50 and you're 60. Like,
I'm not 50 yet.
Well, I'm saying when we're all going to be like, wow, like think how far we're going to come in 10 more years. Like medically, life expectancy, think how fast it's already rapidly. I'm not dating you.
I'll be 50 in 5 years.
I don't think you're that much older than us. But I'm just saying like, we're probably going to have more time than we even know and think about.
Yeah, I mean, most likely out of the three of us, one of us will probably live to 100.
I'm 103, easy.
I mean, that's just and the other two might live to 85 and 90 years old. That's just what we're going to have to prepare for.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring us home here. Retirement's greatest paradox. That's number 7 on the list.
What is that, Kole?
And, really, it's just kind of summarizing what we've talked about. Retirement doesn't eliminate work. It just changes the perspective on what work is. It's kind of that, aha moment.
Like what am I going to do with my time that I used to do at work? And now that I don't go to work, what am I going to reorient that time to use it and what am I going to do with it?
So when you have this aha moment, it's just realizing to think about retirement a different way. This is the whole goal of the presentation, not to scare you, not to make these statistics depressing, but to start like visualizing retirement a different way. Like it doesn't eliminate work. It might just mean something different at work. A lot of people find service work really in this phase, in this retirement. They do a lot of service work. They're giving back to people. It's very fulfilling to them, but it's also just another way to look at retirement and prepare.
And we definitely see this firsthand, right? You see the clients that are thriving they come in. We
think of one. I know.
Yeah,
you're
you and I, we have one that they're constantly fulfilling themselves, challenging themselves to learn still, to try new things and do things. And this really, it just brings us full circle of, not everything needs to be perfect, but you definitely got to have, something that you continue to thrive and work for in retirement to keep you, happy and keep you stimulated.
I had a client the other day in the office and they're going to retire next year. And I had to stop her at one point. It was a husband and wife. And I said, all these questions and all these feelings you're having right now is very normal. I sit in this room with people all the time, and these are questions that they ask, where's money going to come from? That was kind of her question. It was like, okay, well, where are we going to pull that from? Because I'm going to quit working, then I'm not going to have my money coming in, and we're not going to take Social Security right away. And so, and we obviously try to show that displayed in your retirement plan that we build for you, but it is a very common emotion, but you're having emotions that you've never had before. They haven't had to work where income was coming from. They had jobs. So now it just shifts to a different thing that is where it's going to come from.
Yeah, and I think it's just really important to remember we're all going to hopefully walk through retirement someday, and we've all worked hard. I mean, I think it's one of the American dream is to be retirement, be happy, be successful, but it's going to be beyond numbers, right? We focus a lot on the numbers, the income, just like what Kole was saying, but we really want you to walk into retirement with the right attitude and mindset, because we know how resilient our clients are, but we want them to be aware of what's going on in this presentation. That way you can really achieve a fulfilling retirement. Like the money, these guys are going to help you out, but to sit there and be like, wow, I wake up every day with purpose, routine, I feel connected with my family, or whatever it may be. Maybe you're playing pickleball for 6 hours a day. I could see myself doing that. But the thing is, let's start thinking about it now. Or even if you're in retirement, you might be in one of these phases. Think about, hopefully this sparks an idea or a conversation. What do I need to do to get where I want to be in retirement, mentally, physically, and just be fulfilled?
Well said.
Yeah. So learn a new skill. Pickleball? I think we should be a pickleball team.
Pickleball's super fun.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, it's great.
I'd play pickleball. I have played pickleball. I know that I could beat you. It's
like a more aggressive, or like a more active.
You don't have to move as much. Tennis.
Pong. Yeah, it's like less in between
tennis.
Ping pong and tennis, right?
Let's get refocused. But yeah, that was great. Thank you guys for all that insight. We love bringing people more than just the numbers.
It's a little different for us, right? Stepping outside the box. We're all numbers people all the time, but it's
talking about a lot of emotions.
Yeah,
today.
The emotional side of retirement.
And it's so true, because some of the wealthiest people aren't happy. And it's just really finding out what's important to you. What do I want to do with my day? Is it helping others?
Purpose.
Purpose.
And the thing that I see a lot too is just because it's one thing for the husband, a lot of times it's different for the wife, and a lot of times it's different for your best friend. That I'll have a lot of people that retire and think they're gonna play golf together every day, and the one person is instead spending more time with the grandkids and can't play golf as much, and the other one's like, why aren't we playing golf? It's like, it's not the same for everybody, just like a lot of things. So you're gonna have that discovery process, the 4 stages of retirement, the trial and error, but hopefully you get to the reinvention stage or phase a lot sooner.
Yeah. All right. Champions keep playing until they get it right. Billy King.
Go Cubs.
You've been listening to How to Money with Kole and Kole, the podcast of Full Swing Financial Planning. To learn more, visit their website at www.fullswingfinancial.com and follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
For now, I'm Kole.
I'm Baileigh.
And I'm Kole.
And we'll see you on the greens. 4.
Security and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.